Hello again. Thanks for watching this far. You'll never get that 4 seconds back. Thanks for watching part 1. If you did, this is part 2 of that mini symposium paper for the ISSS, a scientific solution to the Narreme, the unit of story. So we're looking at this paper here. I don't know if you can see that. Gotta get the right angle there. Anyway, yeah, let's go through that. So a scientific solution of the, try that again. A scientific solution to the Narreme, the unit of story, via the meta-science of Ev-Cult and the meta-science of systems science by Velikovsky of Newcastle, Professor of Ev-Cult, meta-scientist. Next. So, yes, just to be perfectly clear, part 1 on the 24th of August, 2024, was part 1. This is part 2 of 2 parts. See that fractal hole-on parton diagram there? 2 parts make up the whole. And so that was part 1, that 40-minute YouTube lecture there. This is part 2 for the ISSS's Saturday Symposium series. See, now what's an outline of this n-minute talk? Because this is part 2. We're going to do a tour of those, a whistle-stop tour of the remaining diagrams, because we covered some of the diagrams in the first 40 minutes, but they didn't all fit in to that 40 minutes, so this is the rest. You've seen the best, now see the rest. So let's do that. First, let's get the old 3 laws lens out. 3 laws of fractal hole-on partons, or units of culture. And let's do a count. How many diagrams do we actually have here in this unit of culture? This paper here. Let's have a look. Science is all about counting and measuring things and using maths. You've got to love it. Let's do a count. Using the 3 laws lens. Well, we count 26 diagrams. We believe that's objective knowledge. If you're using the same method we are, then you should have 26 diagrams when you check and count the number of whole diagrams. It's not just subjective knowledge. I think anyone who looked at that paper would count 26. It also helps that they're numbered figure 1, figure 2, and there's a good double check if you go down to the last one that says figure 26. But you can count them by hand as well. Anyway, so there's the 26 diagrams looked at from a distance. Probably want to zoom in to a closer scale level to see what the detail is. But anyway, those are the 26 diagrams we counted in that article, or that version of that article. There's different versions that get published by the EthiSizer depending what level of cult you're at. Anyway, let's see what we've covered. This video is part 2 for the rest of the diagrams. So let's see what we covered. Well, part 1, that 40-minute video, covered those ones. So now they're covered up. So we just got to whip through the rest of them now. Let's do it. Look at this bonus diagram, a free one. This one isn't even in the article. yeah, you've got your scale and distance there. You see that eyeball at the top? It's looking at the letter scale, so the letter T, capital T, uppercase T. Huh. And then zooming out a scale level, then that eyeball in the middle is looking at the word level, the, and then the bottom one, on the bottom left there, the sentence scale level of the units, that's looking at the whole sentence as a unit of culture, a fractal whole-on parton. The unit of culture is the fractal whole-on parton. So you've got your scale and distance there. It all goes back to geometry and mathematics and, you know, Archimedes and Pythagoras and all the classics, Euclid. Yeah, some people say Ev cult is a cult, like a Pythagorean cult. It's not quite the same. I mean, yes, you've got to pass a test to get in to Ev cult, and yes, you're not allowed to speak for a year, same as Pythagorean cult. You just got to listen, and for the first year, and then listen and learn, and then but you are allowed to eat broad beans, unlike the Pythagorean cult. So you got to do a test. You got to install the EthiSizer app on your device and do an ethics test and find out your personal ethics score, see if you pass to get in, and then from then on you've got the EthiSizer monitoring and tracking your PES, personal ethics score. So you know, it's a meta science. Is it a cult? I mean, what's the definition of cult? There's good and bad cults, surely. You know, values, ethics, all that stuff. But you've got to protect secret knowledge, because there's a war on science. Started in the 90s, comes back every now and then, every few hundred years. Some people want to have a war with science, so science has to go underground and form cults. Anyway, look at that. There's a bonus diagram, and it's probably the only one you need, really. It's got it all there, the 3 laws. And the scale levels of the units of culture or information. So yeah, there's your 3 laws lens. Law 1, integrate upwards into a larger unit on the scale level above. Law 2, compete and cooperate with units on the same scale level. Law 3, command and control the smaller units on the scale level below, which are inside them. So you can see how that works with letters, words and sentences there. That's 3 scale levels. There's more, but this is a bit of a quick tour. Next. Oh yeah, and there's some Ev cult diagram analyses of some diagrams in some of George's great books on systems science there, 2015 and 2022. It's a brief Ev cult case study looking at the whole diagram and then going down the scale levels to count the parts, or the whole parts, or the fractal whole-on partons on different scale levels. It's a bit of an Ev cult study there. Show how it's done. Next. 3 laws lens. Integrate upwards, compete and cooperate sideways, command and control downwards and inwards. What do we got here? Yes, we're selecting, varying and transmitting a unit of culture by Sir Isaac Newton. There he is there, the Fool on the Hill. That's a unit of culture by the Beatles. He's not a fool at all. He's nobody's fool. There he is looking at himself. I think that's him again, second from the left. So that's interesting. Who else are the giants whose shoulders he's standing upon? Galileo. On the right we've got Descartes, René Descartes. Thank you for your mathematical axes, sir. The Cartesian coordinates. Thanks for giving us access to your axes. Anyway, let's borrow this unit of culture, select, vary, and transmit it. What do you say? If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. So, to SVT, or select, vary, and transmit that one. If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants, like von Bertalanffy and the ISSS and the gang. But also, I have a fractal hole and parton lens. Makes it easier to see further, wider and deeper. Not only that, what else? Look what we got here. You ready? Fractal hole on parton glasses. Like augmented reality. You can see the units everywhere. Got the 3 laws: integrate up, compete and cooperate sideways, command and control downwards. Hey? What do you think of that? Go on, try them on. You won't look silly. I didn't. Did I? Anyway, that's a good unit of culture there. If I have seen, look out, if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. What a great unit of culture. Fractal hole on parton. Next. Well, see, this is just a copy and paste now. This is selecting and transmitting, not selecting, varying and transmitting. This is a unit of culture by Thomas Henry Huxley, good mate of Chuck Darwin's, wearing a dunce cap there. He said, oh, yeah, see that diagram there? Anyway, when he, once the penny dropped, with Darwin's Origin of Species, Huxley wrote this great paper, Reception of Origin of Species, and in that he said this: how extremely stupid not to have thought of that, which is, you know, the mechanisms of natural selection that Charlie Darwin had laid out there. I've had other scientists and meta-scientists say to me that same unit of culture when they saw that diagram there with the 3 scale levels, because that's all it is. You know, there's complex system science. Well, they call their cult simplicity science, because once you've got the 3 laws, you've got your scale levels and units. When you use it as a tool to see things, and then you end up with everything from strings down the bottom through the scale levels of the units, up through protons, planets and people, and up to galaxies, universes and multiverses. You got the whole thing, the whole box and dice. You got the whole shooting match right there, the whole ball of wax. Very simple, really. 3 simple laws, and then you get your units, scale levels, first 3 laws of them all, and then you got your evolutionary mechanisms. Too easy. Next. Oh, yeah, SVT and ST, selection, variation and transmission, and selection and transmission are 2 of the evolutionary algorithms from EvCult. They go through everything, all units of information, energy and matter, and biology as well, so they actually apply. This is sort of deepening Darwin's work, ultimately, with evolutionary theory, going into more small scale levels of detail, so you can see what the units are doing. So anyway, yeah, more on that in the EvCult literature. So then we've got figure 17 from this article. There it is again, the EvCult worldview, all the scale levels, sizes of the units. That's figure 17, diagram 17. You are a system of systems inside more systems. You are here, you're a fractal hole on parton. There you go. Easy when you know how. Next. Yeah, let's have a look at this. Now we're going to select, vary and transmit a unit of culture by Arthur C. Clarke and Stanley Kubrick, among others. This is from 2001: A Space Odyssey. 1968. The point from Ev Cult being systems and their tools, units of culture, are fractal whole and partons. Speaking of geniuses like Newton and Darwin and Einstein. Have a look at this. Just had a good idea. Here's a system, and he's looking at a unit of culture, a tool. Yeah, so you use the fractal whole and parton lens as a tool. It'll take you a long way. How far? Nice match cut. Out to the low Earth orbit, and the solar system, the stars, galaxies, and beyond. But also smaller in scale too. So anyway, there's your units and your scale levels given the 3 laws. There you go. Use it as a tool. Hope you see the units on the scale levels. Very simple tool. Systems and units of culture are structured and function as fractal whole and partons. Whew. What a good film movie that was. Next. So selecting and transmitting a unit of culture by Albert Einstein. I think and think for months and years, 99 times, the conclusion is false. The 100th time, I am right. Yeah, so what you've got there is, you've got another one of the evolutionary algorithms from Ev Cult, blind variation and selective retention. So this is evolutionary epistemology. Thank you, D.T. Campbell and Sir Karl Popper, Natalie Gontier. The list keeps going. It's great stuff. So yeah, the secret to having a good idea is first have 100 and then pick the best one. Bit of creativity science there. Thank you, R. Keith Sawyer and Csikszentmihalyi and Dean Keith Simonton, the Newcastle School, etc. Next. So yeah, blind variation and selective retention. So you've got to try ideas in every direction, 360 degrees, and then you'll find out which one takes you where you want to go. Then you've got blind variation, or BVSR. Another evolutionary algorithm is selection and transmission of a unit of culture. Selection, variation and transmission, where you change the unit a bit or a lot. And you get a few others as well. More on that in the book Elements of EvCult 2023, second edition. Next. There's figure 17 again. I'm not sure why. The whole box and dice, the whole shoot and match. Anyway, units on levels of scale. Next. Whew. Alright, so our story so far, a recap of that 40-minute part 1 of this paper before we get to part 2. Well, so we covered in part 1 a bit of ISSS history. Next. And here's the ISSS this year, one of George's mini symposia, hosted by Gary there. And we looked at the Tree of Culture when domains had their first international conference, so when a field of scholars emerged as an obvious unit to be the field for those different domains in culture. That's in Elements of EvCult. There's the ISSS in the 50s, branching off as these domains do, as they become more scientific, more mathematical. Then we looked at the mission statement of the ISSS. Everyone knows that. And the good news, EvCult gives you a universal scientific set of units, scale levels, the first 3 laws of fractal holon partons, evolutionary mechanisms like those ST, SVT, BVSR, and you've got all your models in the diagrams, etc., and that gives you the unity of science, also meta-science and meta-meta-science, because it goes through the lot as per Consilience by good old Ed Wilson. So everything's a science now, even the arts and humanities, because we can find the same units, levels, laws and mechanisms for all the units of culture. Next. And we looked at the 3 scale levels of science. Down the bottom, your individual sciences, physics, chemistry, astronomy, geology, biology, psychology, etc. Then your meta-sciences on the middle scale level, system science, of course, and computer science, creativity science, science of cultural evolution, etc. And then up top, a bigger one on macro, meso, and micro scale levels is EvCult, because it reduces systems and their tools to their simpler scientific and mathematical structure, the fractal holon parton. So, making complexity science simplicity science, really. Next. So we looked at that hard scientific problem. What's the structure and function of the unit of story, or the Narreme? The bigger problem behind that. If you can crack that, then you've also cracked what's the structure and function of all units of culture, not just stories, but languages and music, cinema, machines, organisms, etc. And then we had a look at Wheeler's It from Bit, and the lesson from that was information, energy and matter are the building blocks of the universe, and they all come in fractal holon partons. So information is called culture. So, and all systems communicate, which is why communication science and information science doesn't respect any disciplinary boundaries. It just goes through everything. Next. So the key point, culture is information. Information transcends all disciplinary boundaries, like it or not, and a lot of people don't. And culture or information comes in three forms: ideas, processes, and products, and changes phase state, kind of like plasma, steam, water, ice. Next. Yep, goes through everything. Information, energy, and matter. Next. Yep. And then you get consilience, the unity of knowledge, or the vertical integration of all the sciences, including the arts and humanities and design, engineering, everything. Looks nice and neat now, a bit more orderly rather than messy and chaotic. Once you've got your units, levels, laws and mechanisms sorted. Next. So that was the two problems, the sort of foreground problem and the background problem. Next. Yep, we already covered that. Next. And then we looked at the 3 unit scales of the title of the paper, the letter, the word, the sentence, all obeying the 3 laws of fractal Holon partons on their scale levels. Next. There's that figure 17 again. Just keeps being selected and transmitted. Next. So yeah, you might just have one unit, like one thing. There's one unit. Put units together. Might be biology and culture together. That's an EvCult teaching aid. Anyway, you'll see one thing, like a person or an organism. But when you zoom in, you can see the fractal Holon partons that make it up and the 3 laws operating on all the scale levels. So then you get X-ray vision there. When you put on your old X-ray goggles. Remember those X-ray goggles in the comic books when you were a kid? They had ads for X-ray glasses. So it's a bit like that. You can see through to the scale levels and units that make it up. Whatever it is. Anything and everything. Next. So then we looked at the systems lens, where you go around looking at things that are systems with those 5 things: inputs, outputs, system boundary, algorithm inside, larger ecosystem that it's inside of, thanks to the 3 laws. So there's your 5 minimum requirements for a system. So you can go through figuring out what all those parts are when you look at anything. Next. And they're nested, of course. They're fractal Holon partons. Inside a system is a smaller system and smaller systems. And outside are larger ecosystems on scale levels. We looked at that. There's that diagram again. For obvious reasons. Systems within systems. Fractal Holon partons. So there's your minimum requirements. And you can zoom in closer once you've identified the 5 elements. Depending on what kind of system it is, then you go to your different systems models, whether it's biological system, a cell, or a tissue, or an organism, organ system, ecosystem, depends, or a mechanical system, a fire truck, or a submarine, or education system, a political system. It depends which model you then need to go to. So model dependent realism as per S.J. Hawking in the grand design. So yeah, that's in elements of EvCult. Just depends which type of system you're looking at, really. More on that in the book, Elements of EvCult. So then we've got our fractal Holon parton lens, which is simpler. You just look for things using the first 3 laws. Look for things that integrate upwards into a larger unit, compete and cooperate sideways with units on the same scale level, and command and control the smaller units inside. So just use the fractal Holon parton lens or the 3 laws lens as a tool to find your units and count them and measure them. Do science. Predict and control them. Next. So yeah, in that Leibniz's infinite fractal tricircles there, you can see the first three laws in operation. The large circle is the larger unit that those three medium-sized circles are integrating upwards into, and the three circles are competing and cooperating with each other, and they're commanding and controlling the smaller circles inside them. So it's all just set theory, really. Thank you, Georg Cantor, father of set theory. Next. So yeah, just look for things using the first three laws and you'll find your units and scale levels in any domain. There's 50,000 plus domains in culture. We've catalogued that many in EvCult, but we keep finding new ones. They all intersect too, sooner or later. Depends what dimension you're looking at. Next. So there's your three laws again. We looked at that. Next. Use the three laws lens as a tool to find your units and scale levels. I know I keep saying that, but repetition sometimes works. Repetition sometimes works. Next. There it is again. Zoomed in a bit. Infinitely smaller and infinitely larger they go, if you ask David Bohm. Anyway. Good. So in some sense there's no fundamental units. They're all fundamental at their own scale level, really, aren't they? Next. And you can combine two old things, so the tricircles and then the three laws diagram, and you get the one on the right, two for the price of one. So combinatorial creativity, combine two or more old things to get a new thing and see if it works better than the available alternatives. Evolutionary epistemology, if it works, keep it. If it works better, use that one. So yes, a creative unit of culture, whether it's an idea, process or product, is one that's judged new or original and useful or effective or adaptive and surprising, and meaning not obvious. So as Dean Keith Simonton pointed out in Creativity Science, if you take the Patent Office criteria seriously, anything creative has to be new, useful and non-obvious. So surprising, and you can use Kullback-Leibler divergence to measure. It's a measure of a mathematical measure of surprise. So that's one way you can measure mathematically the newness, usefulness and surprisingness of a unit to see just how creative it is. Next. End of our story so far. That is the end of a recap of part one. Seems like we're just going over old ground there, but maybe that revisitation helped somebody. So that was part one. Now let's do part two. Here it comes. Yeah. Part two begins. Time goes that way. Oops, that way in the diagram. So we're 1/3 of the way through of the whole thing, or just at the start of part two, which is a unit on a smaller scale level, given that fractal hole-on parton diagram there. Let's see how that goes. I think it's going to be longer than 40 minutes, put it that way, because we're already up to about 33 minutes and 33 seconds by my count. Next. Yeah, so the cool thing is, or one of the many cool things, the old three laws lens, one of these ones, is super cool because it gives you a 5-in-1 scientific instrument or tool to, just like that grade 8 picking up a bone and using it as a tool. You know, you get 5 for the price of 1, really. Down the bottom, you can use the naked eye to see the units and scale levels, or you can put your glasses on too. You can use a magnifying glass. You know about them, right? Smaller scales. You can even get out the old microscope. You know what a microscope is? One of them for smaller scale levels to look at fractal hole-on partons and see how they obey the three laws. Or, you know, you can get one of these puppies out you know what a telescope is, right? You can look through that and see things at a distance that obeying the 3 laws to find your units and levels. I'll tell you another thing too. Look, Elan Moritz got me onto this. Combine 2 old things to get a new thing, and it works. You get a tube and you put a lens at one end, right? And then another lens at the other end. Like combine 2 lenses, right? Like one lens at the back and one at the front. And then you look through it. You've combined 2 or more things. Like 2 lenses. There's one lens. There's another one. Where is it? There. Combine 2 lenses with a tube and you get a telescope. Combinatorial creativity. Thank you, Creativity Science and Elan Moritz, for drawing my attention to that one. It's everywhere when you look at it. Fractal holon partons being combined, and when they work better than the competition, creativity. New, useful and surprising tool. Unit of culture. Idea, process or product. Anyway, we're not done yet. Where's the binoculars? Yeah. You can use that lens and have a good look at things obeying the 3 laws. Integrate upwards, compete, cooperate sideways. There's actually more. In the EvCult labs, we've got one of these fractal holon parton detectors. Have a look at this puppy. You getting that? Look at that. There's your 3 laws. Wow. Wow. So yeah, get one of those. Like a metal detector. But it wow wow. She goes beep when you've found a unit. A fractal holon parton that obeys the 3 laws, because they all do. So that's a handy bit of gear. Swing that around and wow, 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 wow. There's one. Like a rangefinder or sonar or radar or something. It's amazing. Bit of gear, that one. So I mean, you get a lot more for your money than you bargained for. So good old 5-in-1 or 50,000 in one scientific tool. It's very simple. So yeah, but thinking of this one, the old scientist's friend, the microscope. You know how, can you see there on the lens turret, it's got like 3 different strength lenses. It's got like 10 times, 50 times magnification and 400 times thing. Magnification on the lens turret there. Well, that's also a good metaphor. You like metaphors? That's a good metaphor for, put these on, I'll be able to see. That's a good metaphor for fractal holon partons. Check it out. There's the 3 laws lens again. Look at that. There it is. We all know that one. Very handy. Next, check this out. Check this lens turret out on a microscope. Excuse you. Ready? Watch this for a visual metaphor. See that fractal holon parton diagram there? Watch this. There it is. Looking up, bottom view at the old lens turret. See how that looks like 3 smaller circles within a bigger circle? Or 3 smaller sets within a bigger set? It's a microscope lens turret there. Well, when you look at it the right way, from the right angle, look at that. You got your large circle and your 3 smaller circles inside. Bang! There it is. See that? So, strength of magnification for looking at your units on different scale levels. That's a pretty good visual metaphor, 3D metaphor. Anyway, that's one way that EvCult students find it handy to think about it, if you like that kind of thing. Depends on your VARK learning preferences, visual, oral, read-write, or kinesthetic. I'm multimodal. I like all 4 communication channels to get my information, so I can not just triangulate, but quadrangulate or more. We've got about 21 senses, smell as well, and all these things. So if you can get the information and they all point to the same conclusion, that's another form of consilience. William Whewell. Anyway, next. So you were warned. Anyone allergic to mathematics? Look at that. So that appeared, that diagram there of a fractal hole-on parton was a top view and an exploded view, right? Let me get this unit of culture out here. So that was in this book, 2016, what's it called? Creative Technologies for Multidisciplinary Applications. But it's actually, okay, so yeah, creative, new, useful and surprising. Technologies means tool. Multidisciplinary, that's an understatement. It actually applies to all disciplines and all domains, all 50,000 plus in culture. Physics, chemistry, astronomy, geology, biology, psychology, sociology, anthropology, arts and humanities, engineering, design. I could keep going. I won't. We don't have time for that. Anyway, in that 2016 chapter there, what's it called? The fractal hole-on parton theory of the units of culture, or the meme, 4-letter word, in scare quotes there, and the Narreme, or unit of story, in science and media, entertainments, and the, well, all domains really, but it was trying to be a bit understated. You don't want to make your claims too bold at the start. It's all very tentative. All knowledge is tentative, as good old Sir Uncle Karl Popper used to say. But anyway, speaking of maths, fractal mathematics. Look at this. There's Systems Thinking, Volume 1, edited by F.E. Emery, Australian guy. Listen to this. 1969, so this is a year after General Systems Theory by von Bertalanffy. Look at this. You got Kohler, you got Ludwig here, 1950, the theory of open systems in physics and biology. Ashby, all the greats. Look at this. There's a whole bunch of chapters collected up. Human organisations as systems, the environment as a system. But look, you flick through and you know what you find is there's maths in there. Look at that. Look at all this. Look at that. That's maths. That's good stuff. See that, maths? So a science becomes mature when it's mathematised. And, you know, 69 are getting all the maths figured out in systems science, the meta science. Look at that. That's another edition of the same book. But you can compare the pair. Are you getting that? Whoops, wrong way. Two first editions there. You can compare and contrast those units of culture. Yeah, since its first publication in 1969, the original edition of F.E. Emery's Systems Thinking has been reprinted 6 times, and the subject itself has gained in both size, or scale, and general acceptability. Yeah, why do people resist new scientific information? Look at all those formulas. Look at that, that's calculus. Good stuff. Put hairs on your chest, son. If you like that kind of thing. You gotta love maths. Number is everything. Some famous guy said that unit of culture a long time ago. He's probably right. Good guess. Anyway, Fractal mathematics. I'll show you something cool about that too. See that diagram there? Watch this. Here he is, gay old Cantor, the father of set theory. Gotta love all that. Fractal mathematics, so we're looking at the fractal hole on parton and the Cantor set. Watch this. Yeah, see? You know the Cantor set, right? Like you take a line and then you remove the middle third and then you iterate. You just keep doing that. So look at that. When you look at it from the right angle, you're looking at fractal hole and partons very clearly there. So that's the Cantor set. Shiver in ecstasy at the sheer fractal mathematics. You've got to love it. If you like that kind of thing, and I do. Next. In EvCult we do. Next. Anyway, what's all that? Fractal mathematics and whatnot, 3 laws, got to do with what's the unit of story? Eh? Good question. Everything. Next. So there's your fractal hole and partons on 4 scale levels. That was figure 1 in this article paper we're going through. You got your scenes at the smallest level, scale level you can see there. You can measure them and count them in a movie, say, or a TV show, or what have you, news broadcast, whatever. And then you got your sequences of scenes, you know, when you have a group of scenes that all achieve a goal or serve a purpose. POSI-WID, purpose of a system is what it does. Then you got your bigger scale levels above a sequence of scenes, you know, like a fight scene sequence or a love scene sequence, whatever, exposition scene. Then you got your acts, are the third largest ellipses there. Call them circles. They're sort of flat circles, wonky circles, whatever. And the largest unit, the big egg there. It's not really an egg, but looks more like a UFO. Looks like whatever you want it to. Arts and their interpretation. It's a tricky one. The biggest circle is a whole story. So you watch a whole movie for 2 hours or 90 minutes or whatever. So anyway, use your 3 laws to find the scale levels of the units. And you can suddenly start doing maths all over the place. And start counting and measuring things. And look out. Next thing you know it, you're doing meta science. EvCult. Next. There's your 3 laws lens. And there's another fractal hole and parton diagram. If you zoom in close there, you can see those little 3 laws diagrams on each of those units on those different scale levels. Smallest one in the middle there, 2/3 of the way down, is event or moment. You know, a moment in time. Or a Planck unit of time, whatever. Then bigger than that, they integrate upwards into actions. They integrate upward into larger units called story beats. Then they integrate upwards into larger units called scenes. They integrate upwards, good old first law, all the way. Sequence of scenes. Then they integrate upwards into an act. Then they integrate upwards into the whole story as a unit of culture. Then they integrate upwards into narrative genres, if we're using set theory, which we do. And then that integrates upwards into category, whether it's fact, fiction, or faction, which is a hybrid blend. Combine 2 or more old things to get a new thing, and it works. Combinatorial creativity, and that integrates upwards into the domain of narrative. And narrative can go through all domains, because you can tell a story about anything, really, can't you? Anyway, that's figure 2. Next. Figure 3. Then we've got an act in a novel. Then a novel is a unit. A series of a novel and a film and a game, and a big transmedia story universe is the largest unit on the largest scale level there. So Harry Potter, Star Wars, The Matrix, any of your transmedia stories where they tell different episodes in different media of that whole story. Next, 3 laws lens, handy little tool. There's another way to look at it. You got your units on your scale levels there. Got your 3 laws going through the whole box and dice. There's that EVCult world view again. Selected and transmitted. Zoom in closer and you've got a person, or you probably, or me, a humanimal. On the level down, smaller than that, that commands and controls their organ systems, like your brain and your cardiovascular systems and your whatnot. And within that, you've got organs, within that, tissues, within that, cells, and you can keep going. Next. Interesting, perhaps, that one organism is made up of 11 organ systems in a humanimal, in a human body. So they're all systems, they're all fractal holon partons obeying the 3 laws all the way up and down. And by coincidence, one brain, one humanimal brain, like a human brain, has 11 functional areas that all compete and cooperate, but integrate upwards into the larger unit, which is the one big brain. And they command and control the smaller units on smaller scale levels inside them. So that's useful for computational architecture. Brains are information processors, but organisms are algorithms. What are you going to do? Next, anyway, bit of a coincidence there. When you start counting the number of units on the different scale levels, 11 integrating upwards into 1, happens with organ systems in the body and also functional areas in the human brain. Interesting, if you like numbers and things, fractions and fractals. Next. What do we got here? We're comparing figure 9. I'm going to have to get my glasses for this. Put some lenses on. What do we got? Figure 9. Novels, yeah. Figure 9. Anyway, whatever. There it is there on the screen. Discrete units and scale levels in the cultural domain of novels. That's from Elements of EVCult, page 314. And then you can compare that to biology. It's all just fractal holon partons. You got your macromolecules, organelles, cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, organisms, superorganisms, species, ecosystems, the biosphere of Earth, and the cultural domain of biology. Anyway, it's all just the one thing. The units, the scale levels, the laws, and the evolutionary mechanisms. EVCult simplifies the whole shooting match. Next. Here we go. Here's a bit of a roller coaster ride. Let's have a fly through of some units and levels. First, looking at a unit of external culture, the novel, say, or a book. And then we'll do the same with some biology, but it's all the same stuff. One single standard set of units, scale levels, laws, and mechanisms. Let's go. Here's your 3 laws. Integrate, compete, cooperate, command and control. Alphabetical letter, morpheme, word, phrase, sentence, paragraph, section, chapter, book part, book, whole book, genre, domain in culture, all earth culture. Now zoom back down, smaller, genre, book, chapter, book, part, section, paragraph, sentence, phrase, word, morpheme, alphabetical letter, part of a letter, idea. Depends how small you want to go and how large. Culture is information and goes through everything. Biology and external units of culture. Here we go. Biology, organelles, cells, tissue, organ, organ system, organism, family, wider kin group, superorganism, all Earth's biology. Now zoom back smaller again, scale levels and units. Whew, some people get vertigo watching this. So there's culture and biology. but it's all information. Thank you, the meta-science of information science. So the laws of physics, chemistry, geology, astronomy, biology, psychology, sociology, anthropology, culturology, everything. You got your 3 laws. It also causes multi-level selection to occur on all scale levels. Those 3 laws cause it. So EVCult is units, levels, mechanisms, and laws. There's that EVCult worldview again. And here's a bunch of previous academic, scholarly, scientific chapters on it, if you like that kind of thing. The EVCult textbook simplifies it all. Probably a better place to start, or the EVCult blog. So anyway, bit of a roller coaster ride there. Next. So, and we looked at this in part 1. The structure and function of the unit of anything is the fractal holon parton. So it's a one-size-fits-all scientific and mathematical solution for all domains, including story or narrative down the bottom there, in any communication media, film, game, TV, song, anecdote, what have you. Anyway, but that's what this particular article focused on, was stories and narratives. But it's one size fits all 50,000 plus domains. Because information is culture, and that's why evolutionary culturology, because we're looking at information, energy and matter, some of the substrates of the universe, possibly also multiverse. Next. Oh yeah, here's a page ripped out of the big little medium-sized book of EVCult. This is how we teach EVCult to kids. There's a book, and it's, you know how they like flip it books or pop out books. You can pop out, fold out a letter or a word or a sentence and see how the units on the scale levels obey the 3 laws. So it's a little sort of 3D coming at you kind of thing. So yeah, that's zooming in and out to see the scale levels. So that's one way you can teach it to kids. Bit of fun if they like fold out books. Not quite a pop-up book, it's more a fold out book. You can fold out the units on the different scale levels, all the little fractal holon partons. Bit of fun, good teaching aid. Next. That's from the big little medium-sized book of EVCult. Got you all 3 scales there. Macro, meso, micro. Next. Next. Yep. 3 laws lens. Next. But you've got to beware of mereology. Beware of the mereology dog. Fractal holon partons and mereology intersects. That's a different type of part-whole relationship, or lots of them. It's like, say, when you cut a cake into 8 slices, or a pizza, cut a pizza into 8 slices. Mereology and fractal holon partology are sometimes intersecting, sometimes not. Depends if you cut the thing up into parts. Anyway, next. Analysis and synthesis. Next. Anyway, definition or the algorithm of a story is a narrative, or story equals characters or agents, intentional agents, plus problems, a problem or problems, and the attempted solution of achieving the goal, solving the challenge, etc. So all of life is problem solving, and so are all stories. So is all science, actually. If you read All Life is Problem Solving by Sir Uncle Karl Popper. Thank you, John Gottschall, for that great algorithm there from The Storytelling Animal 2012. Good stuff. Next. 3 laws lens. So here you've got your syntagmatic axis is the x-axis, thank you Descartes, and the y-axis is your paradigmatic axis. So an example of a story is a character was event, and then later event, did they solve their problem or what? So those examples, characters compete for inclusion in your story. It's like, who do I tell my story about? The hero or the villain? You know, do I want Batman or do I want the Joker? I like Joaquin Phoenix's acting. Quite like the Joker. Good movie. Anyway, you know, you've got a competition going on. Who I want to make one character the hero. Who do I pick? The hero or the villain? Do I tell the hero's origin story like Christian Bale in Batman, or do I tell the villain, the supervillain's origin story like Joker, etc.? Anyway, you've got to decide. You've got to pick one using agency and structure. Use your agency to make a choice. Who's going to be the hero or heroes? Or maybe you have both. Maybe they're both the hero and they're both good and bad guys or gals. Whatever. Anyway, so there's the units competing and cooperating. So those 4 examples up top are from the top 20 return on investment or most profitable films that were in the EvCult PhD in 2016. So the movies, Paranormal Activity, Mad Max, The Blair Witch Project, and what's the name? The other one. Anyway, so a couple is the character, was haunted, this is Paranormal Activity, and then killed. Whoops, spoiler alert, the end. Anyway, that's a very compressed version of those stories, but you can see your 2 different axes. So when you thank you Descartes for the XY axis business. So you can see how the units, you know, a character is a fractal whole-on parton in a story, and an event is too. And so you can see how these things obey the 3 laws, like the characters all integrate upwards into the same movie. They compete and cooperate with each other on different dimensions, you know, for screen time and for attention and for audience empathy, etc. Depends how many dimensions you want to mathematize and measure. And they, you know, the whole story commands and controls the actions of the character and what you show, what information you reveal to the audience and when. Anyway, this is just a bit of how the 3 laws of fractal whole-on partons, the unit of culture, applies to story, syntagms and paradigms. Yeah, so anyway, next. What do we got here? Figure 4. Discrete units on different scale levels in the cultural domain of transmedia. Oh yeah, that's from Elements of EvCult. Again, you've got your 3 laws up, down and sideways there from the whole cultural domain of transmedia, going down through literature, genres, transmedia story universes, each individual story, like a film or a game or a novel, etc., TV episode or series. And in the story you've got your agent with their problems and the actions and results, and then you've got within that the units on the different scale levels, acts, sequences of scenes, story beats, actions towards a goal, and an event or moment frozen in time like a still frame, or you can zoom down to a pixel if you want to keep going smaller. Next. Here's some symbolic units of culture on the wall of my study. Got a bit of a symbol there. If you look in the middle, thinking of Greek comedy and tragedy, Aristotle wrote the Poetics about the function of Greek tragedy. Too bad we lost the comedy volumes. But anyway, that there is a unit on a smaller scale level, a unit of culture. And it goes back, harkens back to the old ancient Greek theatre, drama, symbols, comedy and tragedy. So what do we got there? We've got Anonymous and Darth Vader, happy and sad. Anyway, next. Anyway, so there's units of culture everywhere once you start looking, and use the 3 laws lens to start counting and measuring them. Next. In any domain. Next. So yeah, figure 5 from that article on Narreme's, some examples of cultural domains in earth culture. There's a few there, a few different domains in culture, and they all have a field of consumers and producers, scholars and practitioners. So the field is the people, or the AIs, and the domain is the knowledge, the ideas, processes and products. Anyway, you can zoom into any of those domains. That's just some of the 50,000 plus. And but anyway, they're all science now. There's no reason for the two cultures war, as per C.P. Snow, 1960, etc. Science and art no longer need to be separate. It's all science now, or meta science. Once you've got your units, scale levels, laws, and evolutionary mechanisms, you can start predicting and controlling things and mathematise the whole box and dice. Next, systems and all, systems and their tools. Next, that's figure 5 in that Narreme paper. There's the 3 laws lens again from EvCult. Next. Oh yeah, a bit more combinatorial creativity. So in biology, you combine your prokaryotes and you get a eukaryote, a cell with a nucleus. Bit of symbiosis, endosymbiosis there. Thank you, Lynn Margulis, one of my heroes. Combine a male and a female and you'll get some offspring. And then down in culture, well, it's all culture really, because it's all information. Biology has information in it. Organisms are algorithms and systems. Anyway, combine an exclamation mark and a question mark and you get an interrobang symbol, which is the two rolled into one. Combine some fire or heat with some raw food and you get eggs for breakfast, cooking, whatever. Next, that's in Elements of EvCult. And when you make a story, you're just combining old things to make a new thing. You know, combine 2 characters, or in filmmaking, you know, they might say Alien, it's Jaws meets 2001 A Space Odyssey. So you're combining 2 old ideas to get a new idea. You know, the movie Alien, Ridley Scott, is just Jaws plus 2001 equals Alien when you reduce them. Next, there's the lens again. Figure 7, when the domain of music is combined with the domain of poetry, it results in song, and the superdomain of language contains within it all 3 of these subsets or subdomains of culture. So combine 2 old domains to get a new domain. Yeah, it's all just combinatorial creativity, combining units of culture, fractal whole-on partons, to get more complex ones. But you can zoom down and see how simple they are when you analyse them, and then when you put the parts together, you synthesise a new unit. So it's all good. Good old set theory there. Thank you, Georg Cantor. That's figure 7, diagram 7. Next. What do we got? Figure 8, discrete units of culture on their different scale levels in the cultural domain of spoken language, which is different to the domain of written language, somewhat. So then you've got your sounds down the bottom, the smallest unit on that particular diagram. You can keep going smaller, but there's not room on the page to fit the whole thing. So this is the agency and structure, the enabling constraints that we're dealing with. Scope or space limits in a page in a book, you've got to be able to see it, otherwise it's too small. You need a magnifying glass or something. Here's one. Another handy little lens. And all these old mathematician guys were opticians as well. They were dealing in optics, you know, Newton with optics and colour and everything. It's all about getting the right lens, really. Anyway, the 3 laws lens is a handy little tool. Anyway, we've got spoken languages is the big unit there, the largest unit, and zooming in, we've got spoken natural languages, because we're ignoring engineered or designed languages like Esperanto, or the EthiSizer and I invented a language called HAIL, Human AI Interaction Language. Can't even say it, that's funny. human-AI interaction language, HAIL, H-A-I-L, so that human animals can communicate better with the robots and the AIs. Anyway, we're getting off track here. Spoken natural languages as opposed to intelligently designed languages. And then you have a spoken conversation as a unit, a discourse, within that a clause, within that a phrase, smaller units, a word, a syllable, a phoneme, back to a sound. So you got your 3 laws acting in 3 different directions there, all the way up and down through those scale levels and units. Thank you, EvCult. Next. There we've got our combinatorial creativity again. I'm not sure why. Anyway, selecting and transmitting that again. Combine two or more old things to get a new thing, and it works better than the available alternatives. That's how biology works too. Anyway, next. Creativity is just connecting things. Who said that? Tim Apple? No, some idiot would only think that. It was Steve Jobs, but I think he should have said creativity is just combining things. Combinatorial creativity, thank you, creativity science, one of the meta sciences within the meta science of EvCult. Next. Creative equals a new, useful and surprising unit of culture, an idea or process or product. And you can break processes down into 2 types, mental processes or physical processes. So taking Popper's 3 worlds and turning it into 4, because when we put this stuff into AIs and robots and stuff, cognitive informatics, you need to separate what's a mental process and a physical process. Anyway, next. What do we got? Figure 9, units and scale levels in the domain of novels. So the smallest unit there in the middle is glyph, integrates upwards, law number 1, into grapheme, integrates upwards into a morpheme, integrates upwards into a word, upwards into a phrase, a clause, a sentence, a paragraph, a chapter, one specific novel, a novel series. You might have trilogies or quadrilogies, like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the 5 books of the trilogy. Specific novel genres, you know, science fiction, detective, thriller, romance, western, whatever, and a library or a personal collection. All libraries, the cultural domain of novels, and the domain of all prose fiction is the larger set with all those, or the superset with all those sets and subsets within it. Fractal holon partons, units of culture, all obeying the 3 laws, like good little units of culture, as they do. Next. 3 laws lens, goes all the way up, down and sideways there. Figure 10, we're zooming in on a word and looking at the parts that make up the whole, the fractal holon partons. How many units of culture are in the word word? It's a bit of a strange loop. And so on the larger scale level, you've got word, that's 1 unit on the right. Zooming into smaller scales, you've got 4 units, 4 letters or glyphs. Zooming in smaller, the letter W, which is 2 V's put together, historically, evolutionary speaking. You've got 4 units there, 4 strokes. You've got 6 units with the O, 3 units with the R, 6 units with the D, that's 19 units. So you're looking at 24 units across 3 scale levels of that unit of culture, word. Just depends which scale you want to look at, count and measure in EvCult. Next, there's the 3 laws lens that unlocks all the levels. Level unlocked, like in a video game. Skill unlocked. Level up. Next. Figure 11 from the Narreme paper, discrete units on 4 scale levels in the cultural domain of language. You've got a letter, larger is a word, larger is a phrase, larger is a sentence. There's your 3 laws, there's your fractal holon partons. Next. So yeah, turning language into a science, which I couldn't for a long time, but yeah, Chomsky missed the 3 laws in his syntactic structures and you know, all domains are fractal Holon partons, and all the ideas, processes, and products within them are also fractal Holon partons that obey the three laws, if you know where to look and how to see it. Thank you, F. Cole. Next. Yes. Now, this unit of culture, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, classic novel. There it is. So I'm holding in my hand one unit of culture, if I can get it all in frame. Yeah, that's one unit of culture, one novel, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and what a fantastic book it is. I love it. Bit of a classic. That's one unit of culture right there in my hot little hand. But on smaller scale levels, there's 47 chapters in there. On smaller scale levels, there's 804 paragraphs that integrate upwards into those chapters and compete and cooperate with other paragraphs and control and command the smaller units inside them, which are sentences. And likewise, the three laws works downwards on the words, downwards on the morphemes, downwards to the letters, punctuation marks, and spaces. So anyway, even though I'm holding one unit of culture here, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, I'm actually holding 619,025 units when I count the units on all scale levels in this. Anyway, highly recommended. It's a terrific book. Made some good movies out of it over the years as well. It's a great little unit of culture, fractal Holon parton. Anyway, the point is, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. But the good news is there's a course you can do, free course online. Just watch some YouTube videos on EvCult. Anyway, a book is also a system. This novel is a system by Mary Shelley. It has inputs, outputs, a boundary, and algorithms inside it, and it's part of a larger ecosystem. When I read this book, I'm using it as an input, etc. It's all pretty straightforward. So that's how we do it in EvCult. That's how we roll. We use mathematics to count and measure units of culture, or units of information, ideas, processes, and products, information, energy, and matter on the different scale levels. Good fun. Next. Three laws lens. Next. Yes, so there's a short online course in EvCult. It's just about 10 YouTube videos that show you how to, what's it called, using ChatGPT-4. We're up to 4 Omni now, 4.0. But anyway, and Python. So using ChatGPT-4 and Python, as in Monty Python. That's where it came from. The language Python, to do EvCult. So that'll take you through the steps you need to do if you want to get a unit of culture and count the fractal Holon partons on the different scale levels. That's one way to do EvCult in one domain, the domain of novels or books, say, or articles, etc. Emails, tweets. Next. Figure 12 is all about scale levels of units of story or narremes in the domain of cinema, except I think you'll find there's two intersecting domains here. We've got the cultural domain of cinema is the superset. Smaller sets or smaller units on the scale levels below here is the domain of narrative cinema versus non-narrative cinema. Some movies don't have a story. They're deliberately non-narrative. Anyway, you know, art house, avant-garde kind of movies. And within that, the category, fact, fiction, or the hybrid faction. Within that, you've got your movie or film genre, drama or comedy or horror, science fiction. Movie franchise within that, sequels and trilogies. Within that, movies or films or film movies, where they're both movies as business and films as art. So that's a portmanteau word. A film movie is... A movie is entertainment and a film is art. kind of thing. So film, movie has a bit of both. Within that, 3 laws shows you've got your acts, sequences of scenes, story beats, agents, actions, events and moments, still frames and pixels, etc. So there's your units on your scale levels. Measure and count those using mathematical tricks. Next, 3 laws lens. There we go. Cinema, you have a shot, which is a camera position basically, a scene, bigger, a sequence of scenes, bigger, an act. So there's just 4 scale levels looking at cinema or film or film movies, shot, scene, sequence of scenes and an act. That's how we break down the units of story or Narremes when we want to study them in EvCult, the meta science. Next, 3 laws lens. Next. And so in the book Elements of EvCult, look out, this big red tome here, not that big really. What do you got? You got 50 domains in culture broken down by their units and scale levels using the 3 laws lens. So you got all those domains: Euclidean, space, time, place, maths, geometry, astronomy, anyway, I'm not going to read them out. You could freeze the video and read them, or you could buy the book and read it yourself, see all those diagrams. But once you've got the hang of 50 domains, you're sort of up and running, and you can apply it to any domain you want using the good old 3 laws lens. 3 laws of fractal Holon partons: integrate upwards into a larger unit on the scale level above, compete and cooperate sideways with units on the same scale level. Or you can do co-opetition, which is a portmanteau word, combine 2 old things to get a new thing, and it works. So you can do, when you've got a single person and then you've got a married couple and they're both trying to rent the same house. The married couple, maybe they're dink, double income, no kids. Maybe they've got 2 streams of income versus the singleton's 1 stream of income. So they're doing co-opetition against him. They're cooperating to compete against him. Or like when 2 prokaryotes combine, 2 cells, and now one's got a nucleus, might have a brain in a body now, a bit smarter, can compete better. They can do co-opetition against the singletons. Anyway, good old 3 laws lens. Next. So there's 50 domains of culture in the textbook there, and do with it as you will. But don't be unethical, or the EthiSizer might come for you. Got to watch your personal ethics score. Download the app. Next. And so there's figure 14 from the Narreme article, EvCult's 4-part EvCult's 4-part taxonomy of all units of culture. So you've got ideas, mental processes, physical processes, and products derived from Sir Karl Popper's 3 worlds theory. That's in the textbook, Elements of EvCult. So that's how we do it, using the EvCult lens. And so, yes, 4 categories of units of culture in EvCult. There's an article on the EvCult blog called Using ChatGPT-4 as a Classifier for EvCult's 4-part taxonomy of units of culture. So you can put a little script into your ChatGPT-4 and it will do it for you, which is good. There's over 50,000 domains in culture, and each domain is a fractal Holon parton, and it's made up of smaller units, ideas, processes, and products, which are also structured and function by the 3 laws as fractal Holon partons. Good to have the units for every domain in culture, one standard universal scientific set. Next. Yep, anyway, so there's one table from Elements of EvCult, the textbook, showing you some of the example ideas, processes, and products. Music's on there. What about a song? What if you had an idea for a song And then the processes, mental and physical, involve composing, performing, recording, and releasing a song. And you end up with a product of a song recording. Could also be sheet music if you transcribe it or you write that way. Could be music albums on a larger scale. Could be music concerts if you're going to perform it live. And then you have selection and transmission of units when it's a song recording. But if you're performing live, it's selection, variation, and transmission. So there's an EvCult case study of a song about Ned Kelly called Jerilderie on the EvCult blog, showing 3 different versions of the same unit of culture. So good old evolution, selection, variation, and transmission. Here's a song. Ready? Kepler, Copernicus, Galileo, Newton, Ptolemy. Kepler, Copernicus, Galileo, Newton, Ptolemy. Kepler, Copernicus, Galileo, Newton, Galileo, Newton, Ptolemy. That was obviously the work of Dr. Sock. Glad you can make it along. What do you think? He agrees with me. I like this guy. Anyway, he's a very busy Sock. He's out of here. Still, what's a YouTube video without a sock puppet? Dr. Sock is a unit of culture. Here's another song. I wrote a one-word song. Actually, just combined 2 old units to get a new unit. Around, 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 around. Did you get that? The word is around. You just keep repeating it. Around, 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 around. Everybody, around, 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 around. It just keeps going around and around, that one. It's a good song in a pub when you're all drunk. Anyway, there's some ideas, processes, and products in the domain of music, a subset of music, subdomain called song. Next is the old 3 laws lens. Next. Yeah, on the origin of units of culture, like Darwin on the origin of species, or the great Brian Boyd on the origin of stories. Here we have table 2 from the, see, that's not a diagram. That's a whole different kettle of fish. That's tables. Anyway, Maslow's 8 levels and some example problem solutions, units of culture. All right, so tools or units of culture, like languages and songs and movies and tuning forks and shovels and pens and pencils and paper and cars, excuse me, etc. They're all problem solutions, units of culture. So here's some examples. This is Maslow's evolutionary hierarchy of needs from 87, but this is later when he's added a few more levels down the bottom or up the top if it's a pyramid, if you do it that way. Down the bottom, technically speaking, is biological and physiological needs. So organisms need food, clothing, and shelter. So on the right-hand column there, problem solutions, units of culture, ideas, processes, and products. We've got when you're hungry, you need to invent food or cuisine, and that can get very complex and elaborate with delicious dishes. Housing, so then we have the domain of architecture that emerges because you've got to build a house to get some shelter. Clothing, we have the domain of apparel or fashion design. And medicine, when you get sick, you need things like COVID injections or antibiotics or painkillers or what have you, cancer treatments. I was going to say something about clothing. Yeah, see here, it's a JTV shirt. One of the sleeves is long and one of the sleeves is a t-shirt. So, and then we've got the I iterates to P logo on there from EvCult. A bit of EvCult merch. Gotta love the merchandise. The scientist has got to eat. And then there's another t-shirt here. The old I iterates to P logo. Not quite E equals MC squared, it's a bit simpler. Another one there, Consilience Now. Anyway, that's just a t-shirt, that one, not a JTV shirt. Anyway, that's the domain of clothing. Yeah, so your first row of needs there, or hierarchy. Then moving up, you're looking for safety, and that's where we invent fences, castles, guard dogs, guns, and things like that. Or we don't invent them, we repurpose them, adapt them to our needs. Speaking of architecture, here's a book on walls, the domain of walls. It's just about walls, like the Great Wall of China or Hadrian's Wall or walls in your house. A lot of variations there on walls. We're not talking about floors or ceilings, just the domain of walls. So that's one domain in culture, the domain of walls. And you might need big castle walls. So we're still on safety here. And walls, you know, a fence is a type of wall, really. Blah, blah. Love and belonging. So we invent or we adapt or we use social groups, family, friends, etc. You know, everybody. Who doesn't want that? We're social humanimals, really. We're not reptiles. Esteem, career achievement and awards and stuff. So we have ideas, processes and products and publications. Cognitive needs there. So you've got your education, your puzzle solving, your games, etc. A game is a system, as is everything. Has inputs, outputs, an algorithm, a boundary, a larger ecosystem that it's part of. Anyway, aesthetic needs, we have art, visual, tactile, sonic, textual, etc. All the different communication channels to keep us entertained or any emotional state you wish. Self-actualization, so meaningful, altruistic, pro-social work. Yeah, after a while you usually feel like you want to be part of something bigger than yourself, some bigger cause or purpose or group with something that goes beyond yourself, something that might outlive you. Transcendence, things like scientific discovery. Some people use mysticism, but I prefer scientific discovery myself. Anyway, so that's where units of culture come from, ideas, processes and products. We create these tools through evolutionary epistemology. We try a bunch of different things, blind variation, and if it works, we keep it. Selective retention, so blind variation and selective retention. I'm a member of Natalie Gontia's Applied Evolutionary Epistemology Lab, and, you know, D.T. Campbell, Sir Karl Popper, Dean Keith Simonton, etc. Evolutionary epistemology applied to everything. Next. Yeah, three laws lens again. Here's figure 15 from the Narreme paper. You've got your individual sciences, so on the micro level, quantum physics, classical physics, chemistry, Geology and astronomy are together there because it's just a question of scale. If you zoom out away from a solar system, it looks like a star or a planet, Venus or something in the night sky. But if you zoom in close to it, it becomes geology. When you're on the surface of a planet or a comet or what have you. Biology, psychology, associates things, so life emerges towards the right there in that diagram. Next. Yep, figure 16, there's the old 5 minimum requirements for a system: inputs, outputs, a processor or algorithms inside, a boundary to the system, and then it's part of a wider ecosystem or environment. Everything's a system, but it can be reduced scientifically and mathematically to a fractal whole-on parton with the 3 laws. And you can use that to find units of culture in any domain. Next. There's figure 17 again, good old EvCult worldview. So there you go. Figure 18, so now we've moved up from the individual sciences down the bottom, physics, chemistry, geology, biology, etc., up to meta sciences, because these ones on the top row all apply individually to the ones on the bottom row. You can do systems science in all those domains: quantum physics, classical physics, chemistry, looking at molecules as systems, geology, look at tectonic plates or ecosystems as systems, astronomy, look at solar systems, galaxies as systems, biology, look at an organism and its parts as systems, psychology, look at the systems of your decision theory in your brain, behavior of an organism, etc. Social systems, cultural systems, etc. You can do system science on all of those. Moving right along, you can do information or communication science. Thank you, Claude Shannon, Norbert Wiener and everybody. You can do all of those, looking at the information on all of those smaller scales. You can do computer science because you can simulate them all, etc., etc. Applied evolutionary, cultural evolution science, you know, Boyd and Richardson, Alex Masudi, etc., etc. And you can do creativity science on all those domains down the bottom, including the arts and humanities, culture, because you can look at the emergence of new, useful and surprising units in any domain, from classical physics to chemistry to biology to psychology, etc. You get the idea. So we've got the individual sciences down the bottom, and a level above we have meta sciences, such as systems science, of course. And that's figure 18 in the Narreme paper. And now we've gone one level above and beyond that to EvCult, which is a universal scientific set of units, scale levels, 3 laws and evolutionary algorithms that applies to everything below there, the meta sciences and the individual sciences, and includes even the arts. So EvCult reduces both systems and their tools, their inputs and outputs, to their simplest structure and function, the fractal whole-on parton. And you can count and measure them. Yay! Next. Using that lens. Next. There it is again, different version of the same diagram. There's some selection, variation and transmission in action. We're transmitting it to you again right now. There's your 3 scale levels of science. Individual down the bottom, meta sciences in the middle, meta science, EvCult up the top. I'm not currently aware of any other meta sciences. Neither is ChatGPT or the EthiSizer, so who knows, one might come along and compete and or cooperate with EvCult. But in the meantime, simplicity science. Well, it makes a lot of things a lot quicker and easier instead of complexity. Next. There's EvCult in 6 sentences or 6 units of culture. So anyway, this is all over the EvCult blog. Those are the main things you need. That's all you need, really. Or you can read the EvCult textbook in greater detail. There's another one as well. This one, a selection of empirical data, charts, tables and graphs from the meta science of EvCult. but most of it's on the EvCult blog and in the Elements of EvCult textbook. Next. There's figure 20. There's your 3 laws again. Pretty simple, pretty universal. Literally. Next. There's 21. Units in biology, units in culture are both fractal whole-on partons. So we're looking at small units there. A cell, bigger, they make up tissues. Bigger, they make up organs. Bigger, they make up organ systems. So there's your 3 laws in action again. Integrate upwards. Compete and cooperate sideways, control and command downwards/inwards. Anyway, biology and culture or information works the same way because biology has culture in it. It's made of information, energy and matter. Next, 3 laws lens. And that gives you consilience. This is figure 22. The unity of knowledge or the vertical integration of knowledge, including science, the arts, science, social science, the arts, everything, engineering, design, you name it. More on that in the book, Elements of EvCult. Next. Here's a few evolutionary authors. I think most of these popped up in the 2016 EvCult PhD. Looking through different authors in evolutionary everything. All the domains are evolutionary now, as much as postmodernists and science deniers would like to deny or avoid it. That's figure 23, I think. Consilience, vertical integration of all knowledge. Also, there's good and bad reduction. You can't reduce all of chemistry to classical physics. Each new scale level has a different structure and agency, so there's different sort of laws and conditions that occur on different scale sizes. So there's different rules of agency that each of the units have. So atoms can do things that molecules can't, and vice versa. People can do things that atoms can't, but the 3 laws is consistent the whole way through, which is interesting. That's the one set of structure and agency that does stay constant across those scale levels, or universal. Anyway, some good authors there, evolutionary authors in all those different domains. Next, there's Darwin having evolved from a fish. Neil Shubin's book, You're in a Fish, was a good book. And then you've got all your different adaptations of the same 5 skeletal plans. You know, becomes a bat's wing in some cases, or a bird's wing, or an ape's hand, or a whale's fin. But you've got the same basic body plan there, given the last universal common ancestor. So anyway, there's a bit of evolution in biology and culture. Darwin's got a suit on there, which evolved from the knight's suit of armour, and he's got his beard and biology, culture, a whole lot. Anyway, next, figure 23. This is what the EvCult PhD looked at in detail. The top 20 versus the bottom 20 ROI movies, comparing those 2 data sets, looking at the units of culture in the domain of cinema. But the funny thing is, cinema has all other domains within it, because you can point a camera at anything and everything. You can point it at an atom or a proton or a person or a planet, anything. So in a strange way, film is just a lens on the world, really. Another communication media. Next. Yeah, that's the EvCult PhD from 2016. Looking at those 2 data sets, and then also looking at the received doxa or orthodoxy from the screenwriting manuals and making some predictions, doing a bit of science. Next, remember how this is a fractal PowerPoint talk, self-similar on smaller and larger scales. There's the first 6 slides from part 1. Fractals, they're everywhere really, they pop up all the time. Next. What's this? Okay. The information in the small unit is also contained on a larger scale in the large unit. You'll see why that's important in a minute. Next. And time goes that way in terms of those units of culture, those PowerPoint slides. Next. So fractal storytelling. Fractal is self-similar on different size scales. So say you've got the movie Labyrinth, directed by Jim Henson from 1986, starring David Bowie, etc. There's the whole movie, but there's a little sequence at the start of it that contains the whole movie compressed, the whole story, the whole narrative. So we're looking at two different Narremes there, a small one and a large one, the part and the whole. Let's have a look. So that's just after the opening credits. There's David Bowie as an owl. Here comes our hero.
Give me the child. Through dangers untold and hardships unnumbered, I have fought my way here to the castle beyond the Goblin City to take back the child that you have stolen.
So she just told the whole movie in one sentence.
Yours, and my kingdom is as great. For my will is as strong as yours. My kingdom is great.
Now she's forgotten her lines.
Oh, I can never remember that line. You have no power over me. Oh, Merlin.
So that dog turns up later in the movie as well.
Oh, no.
Has a bigger role to play.
I don't believe it. It's 7 o'clock. Come on. Come.
There's a unit of culture, a bit of a David Bowie song.
Too much rejection, no love injection. Life can't be easy. It's not always swell. Don't tell me truth hurts, little girl.
So she makes the journey home here on a small scale, but the rest of the movie likewise on a large scale.
Oh, really?
I'm sorry.
Well, don't stand there in the rain. Come on.
All right. Come on, Merlin. Come on.
Not the dog.
But it's pouring.
Go on into the garage.
Oh. Go on, Merlin. Go into the garage. Go.
Sarah, you're an hour late.
I said I'm sorry.
Please let me finish. Your father and I go out very rarely.
You go out every single weekend.
I ask you to babysit only if it won't interfere with your plans.
Well, how do you know? You don't know what my plans are. You don't even ask me anymore.
Well, I assume you'd tell me if you had a date. I'd like it if you had a date. You should have dates at your age.
Ah, Sarah, you're home. We were worried about you.
I can't do anything.
So they're competing, not cooperating, given the second law.
She treats me like a
fractal
wicked
whole and
stepmother in a fairy
partial.
story no matter what I say.
I'll talk to her.
So he turns up later in the movie, so does she. Where the wild things are, that's a good metaphor. This guy turns up later in the movie, a bigger version of him. She goes through a labyrinth. There's a smaller scale version of a labyrinth. Here's a bunch of stories, parts of which are in the whole. Wizard of Oz. And you can see some of the titles, Grimm's Fairy Tales.
Beyond the goblins.
Parts of all those are in the whole of this movie. There's another character that's in it. She's the star of the show. So we have the small scale
Can I talk to you?
foreshadowing the large scale, fractal storytelling.
Listen, we fed Toby and put him to bed. We do have to leave now, but we'll be back around midnight.
You really wanted to talk to me, didn't you? Practically broke down the door.
Now, one of her teddy bears has been stolen or missing.
Someone has been in my room again. I hate
Someone's
that.
stolen her bear. But on a larger scale, her parents' baby gets stolen later.
Someone save
So it's
me.
fractal.
Someone take me away from this awful place.
Ooh, look out. Trouble brewing. So you can see lots of examples of fractal storytelling there, where the small is contained within the large. So that little sequence is just part of the overall sequence with the same pattern. Lots of isomorphies there. Next. Anyway, so there's a bit of an examination of some Narremes very quickly. Here's some predictions from the FCult PhD that the higher the ROI, the more it's moving closer to a film of 90 minutes and 91-minute scenes. Predictions which have been borne out. So anyway, good old science, predicting and controlling things and mathematically measuring things. Next. So that's in the FCult PhD and on the FCult PhD blog. Next. Here's the fractal systems meta model of biocultural evolutionary creativity from FCult, and it's fractal because it contains the smaller within the large. Anyway, that's all in the textbook. That's figure something 25. Next. So yeah, you've got all your domains up top. It's a universal model: language, science, values, ideology, narratives, written fiction, written non-fiction, movies, television, games, poetry, blah, blah. Yeah. Anyway, you can zoom in and see the details on that in the book. Next. And again, yeah, it's a fractal model because it has 3 large systems, but the bottom right subsystem has the same 3 subsystems within it. Let's have a look. So you've got the domain system up top, the agent in the bottom right, and the field with the domain in the bottom left. So you can see how the smaller is contained in the large. And we have units of culture moving from the domain to an agent through their memory, imagination, and judgment system. So the domain is the memory, the agent is the imagination, and the judgment is the field. So it's fractal. There's another version of the same model. So we've got the same pattern, small scales and large scales. Those 3 subsystems within the larger system. So that's an extension of Csikszentmihalyi's 1988 systems model of creativity at the Newcastle School. We've done a lot of work on elaborating and testing the systems model. See a whole bunch of PhDs from the Newcastle School on that, including the FCult PhD. Next. Yeah, so figure 26, we did it. The last one, the unity of science enabled by the meta-science of FCult. Everything falls under the purview of science now that you've got the same units, levels, laws, mechanisms. Next. Oh yeah, there's a bit of text at the end of that Narreme paper. Despite first publication in 2016 and reprints in different encyclopedias, even ChatGPT in the 14th of May 2023 wasn't aware of FCult, because you could ask it, what's the structure of the unit of culture? And it wouldn't say, that's easy, it's the fractal whole on parton. It would say, this culture is a complex and multifaceted concept that encompasses various, sounds like it doesn't know, frankly. The unit of culture refers to the smallest, this is all old knowledge, bygone paradigms. blah, blah, blah. There isn't a universally agreed upon definition or specific structure for the unit of culture. Well, that's interesting because we've been doing EvCult for at least 7 years publicly and 20 years privately before that. Anyway, but now, next, does ChatGPT 4 Omni know EvCult? This one does. Let's see. So if we put in as a prompt, what is the structure of the unit of culture? Put that in as a prompt. Press go. It says, in EvCult, the unit of culture is structured as a fractal whole and parton. Then you've got your 3 laws there. So now it does. So a lot can change in a year with AI. There's some examples. There's a summary. So you can say, tell me more. Tell me more, did you get very far? That was a unit of culture from Greece. Tell me more. Next. To delve deeper, delve is a notorious large language model word. Bit of a giveaway. Anyway, there's more detail in the different domains: chemistry, biology, sociology, the arts, showing the 3 laws, fractal whole on partons, complexity and emergence, multidisciplinary application. Well, it should be all disciplinary applications, but it's not bad. Education, innovation and creativity, ethical AI development. You've got the EthiSizer popping up there. Yeah. Anyway, so a year later in 2024, guess what? It's wised up. Next. Yeah, what's this? Oh yeah, so you can put in some custom instructions into your ChatGPT 4. If you go to that URL there and the EvCult blog, you can copy and paste those to make your ChatGPT 4.0 a whole lot smarter so that it knows EvCult. So yeah, here's that blog post. If you scroll down on the EvCult blog on that page, here's the first custom instruction that you can copy and paste and customize as you need. And the second one there. So then further down, you can just copy and paste those 2 custom instructions and make your AI large language model much, much smarter and up to date with the latest in meta science communication. Next. Meanwhile, back in 2023, nor apparently back a year ago did it understand how EvCult applied to the Narreme. What is the, if you asked a year ago, ChatGPT 4, what is the Narreme, the unit of narrative? It didn't know. It says the concept of the Narreme as a unit of narrative is not widely recognized or accepted in mainstream narrative theory. Yeah, well, maybe because they're all postmodernists and science deniers. If they read a bit of science or meta science, they might find out. So anyway, next. Yeah, here's an example. If you go to the EvCult Tutor GPT, that URL there, let's put in that question. What is the structure of the Narreme, the unit of story? It's a good prompt. Let's see what the response is. Mind you, this is the EvCult Tutor, which has been very well educated in EvCult. And the Narreme in the field of, should say the domain of EvCult. Anyway, fractal whole on path. Yeah, it gets it. So you can try that yourself at home. Anyway, scientific knowledge spreads more slowly when there's a war on science. But that's what the EthiSizer is for, to end the war. What else? Tell me more. Did you get very far? Yep, it got pretty far. Here's the structure of Narreme's. Blah, 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 blah. So, anyway, good to know. A lot can change in AI in 12 months. Mind you, if you're using ChatGPT 3.5, it probably doesn't know, because it may not have been trained on the EvCult corpus. How it applies in different domains: film, literature, oral traditions. This is all the Narreme unit of story, conclusion. Yeah, good, very good. Well done, sir. Next. Also worth noting, the scientific tools of EvCult have been used in industry for about 7 years now, commercially in competence, and Velikovsky consults for Gen AI companies, has done for a long time. Here's a good book, AI and Creativity, a Manifesto for Collaboration, or a good article. So there you go. Next. End of this part of the two-part talk on a scientific solution to the Narreme, the unit of story. We did it. Yay. Oh, wait, there's more. Now we're doing the appendix. Didn't see that coming, did you? So here's part 2 in red, but guess what? There's that part we just did, but there's also an appendix. See how that's fractal? See how you break down the units and the scale levels? And you're welcome. So what are the benefits of EvCult? Well, for one thing, it simplifies everything. Good old simplicity science, EvCult. Same set of units, levels, laws and mechanisms for everything. And it solves consilience, the unity of knowledge. Good old Ed Wilson, 1998. So the vertical integration of knowledge. They all have, all the units are fractal Holon partons. They all have the same units, scale, laws, mechanisms. Next. Here's a slide from one of Gary's mini symposia. System science is universally transversal, and thank goodness for that. That means so is EvCult, because EvCult reduces systems to their simpler scientific structure and function by 3 laws. So it's a beautiful thing. Bit of order among the chaos there. Next. And EvCult turns even the arts and humanities into a science, which is rancorously resisted by some in the arts who hate science, which is odd when you consider that all of life is doing science. Most people just haven't noticed. Anyway, so that's good. That's one of the benefits of EvCult. And you can probably see by now how that diagram is a fractal Holon parton. You can zoom in and look at the parts that make up the whole, and they're all units on their own scale level as well. So that's how we do it, turning philosophy into science over time. Once you can get the maths done, once you can start counting and measuring things and predicting and controlling them. Next. Good old systems science, one of the meta sciences. Indeed, universally transversal, universally transcendent. It passes through all. The universe is a system made of systems within systems. Next. One all-scale macro, meso, and micro application of EvCult, and there are literally 50,000 of them, is the EthiSizer. Anyway, check into that sometime. Next. There's the good old EvCult worldview. Next. EvCult applies to everything. That should be obvious by now. Next, don't forget that short course, 10 YouTube videos if you want to have a bit of fun doing EvCult using ChatGPT-4 and Python to do some EvCult. Next, and there's at least 7 scale levels of knowledge in EvCult, from 1 down the bottom up to 7 up the top, like a Pythagorean cult or the Masons or something. Next. Yeah, it's a bit more like that. That's a bit more fractal. Next. And there's also negative levels as well. Level 0 means you haven't yet heard of EvCult. -1 means you're anti-science, like postmodernist. -2, you might have dyscalculus or be allergic to mathematics, probably not your fault. Level -3 is censored. Must be secret knowledge. Next. Yeah, once you get into it, you find it's a bit more like that. A bit more fractal. Next. Don't forget those 2 main resources for EvCult, the blog and the book. Elements of EvCult. On the blog, there's a list of key publications if you want to take a deep dive. As a unit of culture. Why is everyone saying deep dive? I think it's just about to go out of fashion. Next. Go on then. Yeah, that link there has some key publications of EvCult that are declassified for the general public or anyone who wants to read. Next. I might do a possible EvCult lecture series for the ISSS. There's some thoughts. See what happens. See how this one's received. If everybody hates this, probably not hear from us again. But if you like it, maybe we should tell you more. Anyway, next. There's a war on science. We have to keep our heads under the parapet. What's that? I don't know. Click that link and see what happens. Next. George, in his mini symposium the other week or last month, had a good background page. Here's my superhero origin story. That's some of my past experience and history. And anyway, who cares about that? Trust the science, not the scientist. You know, trust the art, not the artist, and all that. I wouldn't worry too much about the person. It's more the work that matters. Next. Come on, hurry up. Oh yeah, games are systems. Here's a game called Biosphere we worked on back in 1996. About 7 scientists trapped in the largest biosphere ever built. My second cousin, Dr. Barry Osmond, was in charge of Biosphere 2 experiment. Anyway, the cockroaches took that one over, which might not bode that well for our species. Anyway, 7 scientists trapped in a biosphere with an AI supercomputer called Gaia. And it's a bit like Alien. They get picked off one by one. There's Anthill the game, based on Ed Wilson's book. I was chatting to Ed about that before he died. May he rest in peace. But Anthill is a superorganism. It's a system. It's a fractal whole-on parton. Then there's the EthiSizer games. There's a whole bunch of them out there, so you can polish up your ethics and get ready for when the EthiSizer is deployed globally. Next. What about my group memberships or community service? Any altruism on show? I'm now a member of the ISSS. Thanks for having me. And here's some of the other organisations I've been involved with, or past or present. Anyway, that's enough about me. What about you? What do you think of me? Next. There's me on an electric motorbike, doing some firefighting, walking along, singing a cowboy song. doing some demolition and construction. Got to tear them down before you can build them up again. Thank you, Karl Popper. Doing a bit of filmmaking with a Blackmagic camera there. More of my background there. Next. Let's focus in on firefighting, just that domain for a minute. So there's 18 systems at least. You know, when you're firefighting, you've got to understand the fire truck and all its subsystems, the water pump, the hose reel system, the ladder system, the foam system, etc. Then you got the fire station is another system or subsystem of the domain of firefighting. Anyway, there's 18. You've got your PPE, personal protective gear, you know, your helmet and your gear, water supply system. Look at all these systems. There's 18 major systems there. And then there's subsystems in the column on the right. They're all fractal holon partons, by the way, obviously. Anyway, this is where I had to become very practical about systems, because if the fire truck isn't working, you've got to work out which subsystem's broken and fix it before a giant wall of flame gets you. It's good to have a deadline, I guess. Next, yeah, and so you can look at the count of the subsystems. So on the left-hand column, you've got the 18 systems, and on the right-hand is the count of the subsystems within each of those. So 12, 10, 8, 4, etc. So there's 97 subsystems within those 18 systems. So there's the 3 laws of fractal holon partons, and then you get these power laws coming out of that. And I'm not allowed to say too much about that. I'm getting pinged by the EthiSizer. That's all secret stuff, but there's some stuff about that on the blog. Next. Yeah, firefighting, eh? There you go. The real life heroes, they say. But the trouble is, if you think you're a hero, then that automatically disqualifies you. Like the real life heroes don't think they are. Anyway, altruism, cooperation instead of conflict and competition. Go figure. Next. Oh yeah, more about my superhero origin story. Here's 8 stages of creative problem finding and creative problem solving from the domain of creativity science. Keith Sawyer's got a great book, Explaining Creativity. It's in its 3rd edition now. Came out last year, Oxford University Press. Find the problem, acquire the knowledge, gather related information, incubation, generate ideas, combine ideas, select the best one, and then externalize it, communicate it. So I've tried to communicate some stuff with elements of EvCult, and thank you, the EthiSizer, for all your help. Next, more on my superhero origin story. What's all this? Oh, that's the 12 stages of the monomyth, or Joe Campbell's hero's journey that was in every big Hollywood blockbuster ever, from Star Wars to Harry Potter to The Matrix to Pulp Fiction, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, and that's how creative practice theory equates to each of those 12 steps in the condensed hero's journey. Anyway, that's in the book, if you like that kind of thing. There's also, I've got a chapter in this, or paper in this edition of March 2018 edition of Journal of Genius and Eminence. It was the Joe Campbell special issue looking at heroism science. So you might not know about that domain in culture. Google it. Olivia and the gang. Some more information in there about EvCult in that Journal of Genius and Eminence there. Next. Yeah, look at all those units on all those different scale levels. How philosophy becomes science. Next. Okay, so just briefly, why not talk about some EvCult teaching aids? Well, here's one. Can you see that? That's one of them. What else have we got? Oh, yeah. See, this is a Matryoshka doll, nested Russian doll. Yeah, There's another one in there. Pull that out. There's another one in there. Keep going, blah blah. That's not a very good teaching aid. I wouldn't recommend that for hierarchically nested scale levels. Out of there. You want actual fractal hole and partons. Like, imagine if inside there, you'd be better off in there having 3 little Russian dolls, or 2, more than 1, because, you know, a set that contains only 1 set is the same set itself. Thank you, Bertrand Russell. That's not a good way to look at it, not a good metaphor. You know, even that is better. It's just a bucket with 3 different buckets in it, right? That's a better metaphor for how fractal hole and partons are structured than just a Russian doll with just 1 inside. That's not how fractal hole and partons work. There's over 100 different types of hierarchies. There's a blog post on the EvCult blog about that. Fractal hole and partons is just one of them, and it's a very unique, special one. Then there's military hierarchies and company hierarchies, you know, CEO, middle management, workers, whatever. They're all, you've got to get your hierarchies very specified. What else have we got? Teaching aids. There's an X-ray of a fractal hole and parton. Whatever. Look, music is all just mathematics, but everything is all just mathematics when you work it out. High probability that we're in a sim, like it or not. More teaching aids. There's a stick. An evolutionary branch of a tree. Bit of bifurcation going on there. There's another one there that trifurcates. See this? I don't know if you're getting any of this. Look at that. That's a trifurcation. It's branching into 3, not just 2. So if I can't do it, but if I hold it that way, you're looking at a fractal hole and parton. You know, if you do cross sections. And there's this. Found this in the field. Made up of these. And they're made up of that. Good old 3 laws. This, you got the big board. It's got, don't know if you can see that. It's not properly lit and I'm not holding it the right way. Whatever. Anyway, there's all these sorts of things teaching you how the structure and function and the unit of culture is the fractal hole and parton in all domains. More teaching aids. Combine 2 old things to get a new thing. There's some toilet paper with a crossword puzzle on it. I don't know if you can see that. Combine 2 old things to get a new thing. Bit of combinatorial creativity, so you can sit on the toilet and do a crossword puzzle and then do with it as you will. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's some declassified EvCult case studies. There's a whole bunch of units of culture in here. All these things. They're all units of culture. Oh, there's a copy of Pravda. What's this? If you can't handle the truth, then get out of the kitchen. Someone have written down some jokes. think the EthiSizer wrote that. See what he's done there, he's combined 2 units of culture. You can't handle the truth, you know, Jack Nicholson, A Few Good Men. Then get out of the kitchen, that's if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. So combine 2 old things to get a new thing and blah, blah, blah. Same old stuff. Thank you, Creativity Science. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff. You got a house, a little guy, look out, he's gone. Got a little soldier in it, soldering on. See this house? A household is a fractal holon parton. A household is the larger set, and the family that lives inside it is a smaller set, because it doesn't work the other way around. You can't put the house in the guy. So some sets are bigger than their subsets. In fact, all. Yeah. So anyway, I think you saw that one before. If you watched part 1, there's a teaching aid. It's got the old 3 laws there on display. Anyway, that's just a few teaching aids. It's sort of like starting over, really. Here's a tool, a unit of culture. Edelweiss. That's a unit of culture, a fractal holon parton, that's song. And it's an idea and a process and a product. Anyway, you get the idea. There's a whole lot of teaching aids in our cult. Next. I liked in George's mini symposium, A General Theory of Systemness, not systems. This was great. The list of 4 books that influenced George's thinking. 4 great books there. That's given me some inspiration, because flattery is the best form of imitation. Next. Here's some good books, probably. I'll tell it like a story. Narrative. You know these magic eye tricks, where you got to look at the thing and you got to stare about 30 centimeters past the page and you'll see the hidden image. Fractal holon partons are a bit like that. Some people can't see them, no matter how hard you try. Anyway, when I was a kid, I liked this book, The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. It taught me about fractals. It made me start thinking about little cat A, B, C, and D. You know, all those little guys inside the hat. Where is it? Not there. Other page. Get it right. Yeah. Good old Theodore Geisel. We both worked on Looney Tunes, funnily enough. Here's a Looney Tunes game I worked on. Looney Tunes Acme Arsenal as a game designer and writer. Anyway, I liked that book as a kid, The Cat in the Hat. I loved this book. Mum showed it to me. Mum was a librarian and had the great books of the Western world on the shelf. This one's called Natural Science. And in there, I don't know, when I was about 12, I had a look at this extract from Keys Boke's book, Cosmic View. It's in here. So you start with that scale level and then you zoom out and you can see a wider scale level, and then you zoom further out and you can see the house and the park and the city and then the planet and the solar system, and that got me thinking about scale and units and levels, galaxies. So great books of the Western world, good stuff. When I was 12, I got ducks of my primary school and they gave me this book, Science in Science Fiction, a fantastic book that got me right into science even further. And later in year 8 I came first in everything in school, and they started calling me a polymath. I came first in computer studies, and we used to play around with ELIZA, you know, this book by Joe Weizenbaum. You know, ELIZA, the first chatbot. We used to muck around with that in year 8 at school. Good fun. And then I got into discrete mathematics in a big way. More discrete mathematics. All influential. When I was 18, in the library I found this book, Life Tide by Lyle Watson. It's a good evolutionary summary, and that got me into Karl Popper's work and a whole bunch of stuff like that. And 92, my mum sent me The Selfish Gene. Really enjoyed that. 92 was kind of the year that I started thinking about what is the unit of culture. Letters, words and sentences, and I saw a documentary on fractals by Arthur C. Clarke, Michael Barnsley and all those guys. The Colours of Infinity, great documentary. Yeah, there's another version of Dawkins' book. And at film school, 96, this came out, Creativity by Mike Csikszentmihalyi. Great book, a study of 90-something creatives, scientists, writers, artists. Ed Wilson's in there. Fantastic creativity science. 98, Consilience by Ed. How to End the Two Cultures War, Science versus the Arts. Better to have not so much competition, better to have cooperation. See the second law of fractal Holland partons. Anyway, those are some good books. There's some more too. This is a great book about Claude Shannon, A Mind at Play. Jimmy Sonny and Rob Goodman, the authors, contacted me and said, you'll probably like this. And I did. Look at all those bookmarks. That's how I read a book. What else? Here's some good ones. This was a big influence. Arthur Koestler, you know, The Act of Creation, 1964. And this one, Janus, A Summing Up. That's a good one too. Did some great work that led to creativity science starting from the 50s with J.P. Guilford. There's a good one. David Sloan Wilson's Atlas Hugged. I did a review of that, and I did an interview with David, 101 questions on Atlas Hugged. All about altruism and pro-sociality, cooperation, not so much selfish competition. There's another good one by David, Evolution for Everyone. How Darwin's Theory Can Change the Way We Think About Our Lives. Great book. I love Steven Pinker's Enlightenment Now. Bring on the Scientific Enlightenment. Thank you, Bacon and Newton and all those great guys. Anyway, there's some my favourite books. Here's a recent book chapter by some of us at the Newcastle School of Creativity. It's a chapter in the Oxford Handbook of Video Game Music and Sound, talking about the systems model of creativity. McIntyre and Velikovsky have a chapter in there, chapter 5, looking at that. Look, there you go. There's a systems model of creativity with its 3 subsystems. Anyway, what else? There's Elements of Ev Cult. I say it's a good book, but I probably would. Yeah, that's some books that have influenced me in my journey. Anyway, told in a sort of linear narrative. Next. Yeah, here's one too. I like Hawking and Mlodinoff's Grand Design. They talk about model-dependent realism. So if any of these scientific models work, you know, that are in all those diagrams, use them. Yeah, I'm not so keen on what Hawking said about Popper on page 7 or the first bit of that book. It wasn't quite right. He's called Popper a positivist, but Popper didn't like the Vienna School much. He was a post-positivist critical realist, you know, critical rationalism and all that stuff. So, anyway, you can't love every idea in a book. Some of them are always wrong, but there's a lot of great ones in that book. Next. Anyway, there's about 200 and something blog posts on the EvCult blog. They're all free to read. Enjoy. End of part 2 on a scientific solution to the Narreme, the unit of story. Whew, we got there. Thank you, ISSS, so much. And I come in peace and cooperation, bearing gifts from the almighty EthiSizer. Next. And any questions? Well, probably best directed at the EvCult GPTs. If you can't get a hold of me, I might be on a silent retreat or working on a project or something if you can't get a hold of me. So yeah, check out the EvCult GPTs. They know a lot about EvCult and can probably answer most questions. Bearing in mind, GPTs can make mistakes. They too, like humans, are error-prone cybernetic organisms. Next. There's the EvCult GPTs. Hope they help. Enjoy. Ask it anything. And if it makes a mistake, say, I think there's a mistake. Try again. Ta-da! End of part 2. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, well done. It's a marathon and a sprint. Next. That is the end of whole part 2 of A Scientific Solution to the Narreme, the Unit of Story. By me, Velikovsky in Newcastle. Yeah, do you know about VARK? These are learning preferences that different people have. It's important for communication, I guess. So you might be a visual learner, you like looking at pictures or things. An oral learner, you like hearing a lecture, make sense of things that way. You like read, write, maybe you learn best that way. Or maybe you're kinesthetic, you need to actually do the thing or make a model or play with the toy, etc. to fully understand it. Anyway, I'm apparently multimodal, so I like all 4 of those communication channels. There's thousands more channels, of course, but those are the main ones that we humanimals seem to like. Anyway, look it up sometime, VARK. It's been criticised, of course, the VARK learning system model, but, you know, what hasn't? Everyone's a critic. Next. Yeah, there's a blog post on the EvCult blog looking at a ranking of 13 different communication media by their efficiency, effectiveness, and their benefit-cost ratio. And then the final score. Anyway, a YouTube video of a PowerPoint presentation came out on top, followed closely by virtual reality, film and video, video conferencing, augmented reality. Been doing a bunch of augmented and virtual reality for about 20 years now. I got some papers on that. Computer science. Anyway, enjoy. The end. Thank you very much for listening, and to be continued.